In this next video, we will be looking at 2.1. So we'll turn to 2.1, percent of a number. So my central question will be, how do I find the percent of a number? Well, the process will be fairly straightforward. We'll have two things that we need to do. Step one. Step one will be turn the percent into a decimal. That's the first thing we'll do, is we'll turn that percent into a decimal. Step two is multiply the decimal by the given number. So we'll turn the percent into a decimal, and then we'll take that decimal and we'll multiply it by the given number. So let's try that. So we want to, in our first example, we want to find 5% of 300. So the first thing we'll do is we will take that 5% and we'll turn it into our decimal. So here's step one. We'll take 5% and we turn it into that decimal, moving our decimal twice, 1, 2, and filling in our 0. So this will have a 0 here in that blank spot, and we know that that will equal 0.05. So we've turned our percent into a decimal. Now step 2 will be we multiply the decimal that we got, 0.05, and we will multiply that by 300. We can use a calculator to help us speed up this process, and when we do that, we will get 15. And that's our answer. So the process is pretty straightforward. We take that percentage, turn it into a decimal, then multiply it by the given number. So let's see if we can try it again. I'm going to take my percent, step 1, 25%. Hidden decimal, we'll move it twice to the left. And then we will say that that is equal to 0.25. And then step 2, we'll take our new decimal, 0.25, and we'll multiply that by our given number, which is 12, 25% of 12. And then we'll find that that is equal to, using our calculator, we get 3. And that's our answer. 25% of 12 is 3. So now what I'd like you to do is try 3, 4, 5, and 6 on your own. See if you can do these on your own. Remember, converting our percent to a decimal and then multiplying it by the given number. So pause right here and try these on your own. Okay, so hopefully you took the opportunity to try these on your own. We'll do these step by step. Number 1, I'm going to turn 40% into a decimal. Moving that decimal twice, I get 0.40. And then step 2, I'll multiply 0.40 times 70. That's a times right there. And I will get 0.40 times 70 equals 28. We'll find that that is equal to 28. And we're just going to repeat this process. Step 1. Take my 15%, convert it to a decimal. So that's 0.15. Step 2, we'll take that decimal and multiply it by our given number. 0.15 times 100 is equal to 15. Number 5, we have 150%, so we move that decimal over twice. 1, 2. It's a little cramped. Let me write it a little bigger. Take that decimal, move it over twice. 1, 2. Now we have 1.5. 1.50. And then we'll take that 1.50 for step 2. 1.50, and we'll multiply that by 160, and we'll get 1.50 times 160, and we have equals 240. So let's try this with the 2%. We're going to take our decimal, our percent, step 1, 2%. We're going to move that decimal over. Well, what happens when we move that decimal over? We have that blank spot. We like to fill that blank spot in with our 0. So we know that this is equal to 0.02. Step 2, we'll take our decimal, 0.02. Multiply it by 65, and that is equal to 1.3. So that's how we do the math. Now let's look at a couple word problems, see if we can try these. We'll do one together, and then you'll try to do the other one on your own. There were 150 students at the beach. 20% of them went swimming. How many students went swimming? Well, we know that 20% of them went swimming. Well, who's the them referring to? The them is referring to the 150 students. So we're trying to find 20%. Our goal is to find 20% of 150. So let's do that step by step. We'll do step 1, turning our percent into our decimal, so 20%. Move my decimal over twice. And I get that is equal to 0.20. And then step 2, I'll multiply my decimal by the given number, 150, so I'll take 0.20 times 150 is equal to 30. So what we're saying is that how many students went swimming? 30 students went swimming. So we want to make sure we answer the question and we know what we're talking about, so we'll write some words to help us understand. 30 students went swimming. Okay, let's try number 8. The animal shelter had... Oh, I want you to try number 8. So you try number 8 on your own, pause right here, and then come back to the video to check your results. Okay, so hope you try number 8 on your own. Let's look at it. The animal shelter had 45 cats and dogs. 20% of them were cats. How many dogs does the shelter have? Okay, so this problem has a couple of steps to it, because when we find the 20%, we'll find how many were cats. So let's see if we can figure this out all the way. Well, we know that step 1, when we're given this 20%, that's going to tell us just the cats. So we want to find 20% of 45. So let's see if we can do that. When I do my steps, step 1, I will take the 20% and convert it to a decimal. So I move my decimal over twice to the left, and that's equal to 0.20. Then step 2, we will multiply our decimal 0.20 times our given number 45, and we get that 9 of them were cats. But we're not done here, because that's not what the question's asking for. The question's asking how many dogs does the shelter have? So we got to make sure we're answering the question. Well, if we're looking for dogs, well, how can we use this idea? Well, we know 9 were cats. Let's read the problem again. The animal shelter had 45 cats and dogs. 20% of them were cats. How many dogs did the shelter have? Well, we know that we have 9 cats. We've done our math. 20% of the 45 tells us that we have 9 that were cats. So to find how many were dogs, we can take the total amount, our 45. So if we take 45 cats and dogs, and we subtract from that our 9 cats, we'll be left with how many dogs there were. So when we do that subtraction, we get that there were 36 dogs. So make sure you're always answering the question. Don't just stop once you've done that little bit of math. So you want to make sure you're answering the question, and then you will be ready, and make sure you do all the math needed to answer that question. So I want to thank you for watching this video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.